go from there and share you a little bit about Kander and Ebb this morning because I think you'll really find it pretty interesting, I hope. And we'll go from there. So we'll do this right now. So Kander and Ebb, as I said, they met from various places. They actually met at a cocktail party from a guy who was a songwriter who put them together and thought they really might be able to do something. And Hal Prince gave them a test. He was producing a play on Broadway at the time called Take Her, She's Mine. And he wanted a song in the middle of it for some reason. And he gave them a test to see if they could write it. And sure enough, they did. And it's what sort of began their relationship together. Flora the Red Menace was the first musical that they actually decided to write in 1965. The book, the script, was written by George Abbott. And it's not full of a lot of well known stuff, except that it's mostly remembered for introducing to the Broadway stage a young singer performer by the name of Liza Minnelli. It ran about 3 months. Not an exciting, run by any means, but it's notable because Liza Minnelli won a Tony Award for her performance, and it launches her career.
When it all comes true, just the way you've planned, it's funny, but the bells don't ring. It's a quiet thing when you hold the world in your trembling hand. You'd think you'd hear a choir sing. It's a quiet thing. There are no exploding fireworks. Where's the roaring of the crowds? Maybe it's the strange new atmosphere way up here among the clouds. But I don't hear the drums, and I don't hear the band. The sounds, I'm told, such moments bring. Happiness comes in on tiptoe. Well, what do you know? It's a quiet thing, a very quiet thing. Happiness comes in on tiptoe. Well, what do you know? It's a quiet thing, a very quiet thing. Yes.
Now, what's interesting about For the Red Menace is it's become sort of a curiosity. What was it about it that it just didn't run at the time? You cannot even find a published copy of the script. It is somewhere vanished for some reason. And this was confirmed about 20 years ago when Signature Theater in Arlington, Virginia tried to do a concert performance of it. They couldn't locate the script anywhere.
Give me a hallelujah and get up and shout. Tell me the sun is shining around the corner. Whoever's interested in helping me out, please keep it happy. I'm only in the market for loud laughter. I'll let you serenade me till dawn comes along. Just make it a happy, keep it a happy
That, of course, was Liza Minnelli in 1965. That's a recreation of one of the songs, obviously, that she sang in Florida the Red Menace, and that is the portrayal that got her her Tony Award in 1965. Cabaret comes next. Talk about a controversial kind of an approach to musical theater writing. The idea was to take the play I Am a Camera, uh, written 20 years earlier, Julie Harris originally starring in it, a play full of the stories written by Christopher Isherwood about his experience in Berlin in 1931 with an anti-Semitic landlady who owned a boarding house and the people that populated it, sort of an amoral population. I Am a Camera was filmed with Lawrence Harvey, I believe, and Julie Harris about 1955, but it lost a lot of its bite due to the Hollywood production code and what they would allow at the time. But how Prince was approached by Joe Masteroff and how Prince decided that he wanted to make this the second musical that he would direct. And he envisioned a nightclub or a cabaret that would be the metaphor for the German society at the time, with a decadent MC truly outside of no other character, but something that leads these audiences along, much in the metaphorical way that Hitler did at the time. So it was a very, very complex process, and what he thought he would have, Kander and Ebb, he was so impressed with what they did with Florida the Red Menace, even though it was not successful. He knew that they were the two people to write the score for this very avant-garde, at the time, musical. It was going to feature an all-girl band on stage, a character who, being taken on by Joel Grey, who had no lines at all. The story about a young woman and her amoral life, the bisexuality, which was tremendously muted, of the leading man, and then again set against the rise of Nazi propaganda in the early 1930s. Now, Cabaret created its own sense of poignancy by casting in the persona of the woman who owned the boarding house, a far muted character, almost comic relief in this version, by casting Lotte Lenya. Lotte Lenya, of course, being the widow of Kurt Weill. They had fled the Nazis themselves. They also cast Jack Gilford, who had suffered trials and tribulations due to the McCarthy era and didn't perform for many, many years because he was blacklisted. So there was this built-in poignancy to the casting. Adding into that the amoral consequences of the show and what this really looked like, spawning a spoof called The Producers, written by Mel Brooks, even.
American Airlines, the airline built for professional travelers, takes you to Broadway. City, American Airlines presents the 1967 Tony Awards for excellence in achievement in the Broadway theater. Starring Mary Martin, Robert Preston, a host of celebrated nominees and presenters, and the original cast and scenes from the 4 musical Tony nominees, I Do, Walking Happy, The Apple Tree, and Cabaret. The scene, a 1929 Berlin cafe. And here with an international welcome to Cabaret is Joel Grey.
Welcome and bienvenue, welcome. Français, étranger, stranger. Glücklich zu sehen, je suis enchanté. Happy to see you, bleibe, reste, stay. Welcome and bienvenue, welcome. Im Cabaret, ja Cabaret, de Cabaret. Meine Damen und Herren, Mesdames et Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, guten Abend, bonsoir, good evening. Wie geht's? Comment ça va? Do you feel good? Ich bin euer Prof Français, je suis votre compère. I am your host und sage willkommen und bienvenue, welcome. Im Cabaret, ja Cabaret, de Cabaret. Leave your troubles outside. So, life is disappointing. Forget it. In here, life is beautiful. The girls are beautiful. Even the orchestra is beautiful. Each and every one a virgin. You don't believe me? Well, do not take my word for it. Go ahead, ask her. Outside, it is winter, but here it is so hot. Every night we have the battle to keep the girls from taking off all their clothing. So don't go away. Who knows? Tonight we may lose the battle. And now to serve you. Enchanté, madame. Happy to see you. Bleibe, reste, stay.
how, truly avant-garde this was at the time. A very startling kind of a presentation, that's just totally bizarre. Now then, the movie was somewhat
Money.
different. Now, let me talk about Joel Grey's portrayal for a minute and what happened. Joel Grey did not know what his character was supposed to do, and he was really getting nervous because Hal Prince was getting frustrated with him. And then one day he put on clown white makeup, as you saw in the previous clip, and he goes out on stage menacing the characters on stage, goosing the men, playing with the breasts of the women. And Hal Prince comes up to him afterwards and said, "Jolie, you finally got it. I knew you would get it." And this is the story of this. Now, when Cabaret was made into a film, Bob Fosse rethought it. Most of the music that did not take place in the nightclub was then put into the soundtrack or whatever. And there were several songs that were rewritten. Liza Minnelli, of course, and Joel Grey had no idea what Bob Fosse was up to. He was erratic while he was doing this, taking numerous shots and delays. And after his debacle filming Sweet Charity, it's amazing that Bob Fosse was even given this opportunity. But Joel Grey and Liza Minnelli, pulled through this, just totally confused what Fosse was trying to create because no scene was ever shot all the way through. And of course, Kander and Ebb's. Now, a bit of irony about Liza Minnelli. She originally auditioned for the stage version, the original 1966 version of Cabaret, and she was turned down because she sang too well. They thought that the person who played Sally Bowles should not really be a good singer. And the only person who got negative reviews as a performer in the cast was the lady they cast, Jill Hayworth, for saying she didn't sing well enough to be Sally Bowles. I mean, that's sort of an irony in itself. Joel Grey just totally embodied this sense of evil here that Cabaret. Now, Kander and Ebb were very open to rewriting songs. That song did not appear in the stage production. There was a song there called "Don't Tell Mama," which they replaced with this because they thought it was far more appropriate to the storytelling in the tone in which Bob Fosse was setting out to do the movie. The dance images of Fosse, I mean, he carried those over into the musical Chicago, which we'll talk about later on. But, the whole... And, oh, by the way, I wanted to make a comment about Liza Minnelli's costume. Bob Fosse was really a mess, and he was doing this. It wasn't going well for him. He was becoming overwhelmed with his own artistic conflicts internally. Gwen Verdon rushes over to Europe, and she starts to put the whole thing together. One of the things she does is goes through antique stores and found that outfit that Liza Minnelli actually wore. They recreated it a little bit and revamped it, but it was found by Gwen Verdon, as well as Gwen Verdon finding the head of the gorilla costume that was going to be used in the movie. Now, that was an interesting scene as well. Boston was the site of where Cabaret opened in its pre-Broadway tour in 1966, opening in September of 1966, around the time of the Jewish high holidays. And people were hearing rumors about it, that it was about the Nazis, and without ever having seen it, decide that it's anti-Semitic, which it is really not. It is just portraying a commentary on the time and how this evil came about. Well, there was the very famous song in which Joel Grey's character, the MC, does a dance with the gorilla being a person who's been ostracized from society. Well, people who had seen it decided that the play was saying Jews were gorillas or whatever, and there was a tremendous amount of controversy, and Hal Prince was getting letters at the time from the Anti-Defamation League, and this was the song that caused all of the challenge. I know what you're thinking. You wonder why I chose her. Out of all the ladies in the world, it's just a first impression. What good's a first impression if you knew her like I do, it would change your point of view. If you could see her through my eyes, you wouldn't wonder at all. If you could see her through my eyes, I guarantee you would fall like I did. Yet when we're walking together, they sneer if I'm holding her hand. But if they could see her through my eyes, maybe they'd all understand. How can I speak of her virtues? I don't know where to begin. She's clever, she's smart, she reads music. She doesn't smoke or drink gin like I do. Yet when we're walking together, they sneer if I'm holding her hand. But if they could see her through my eyes, maybe they'd all understand. I understand your objection. I grant you the problem's not small. But if they could see her through my eyes, she doesn't look Jewish at all. Now that lyric was what caused all of the problem. And they were so nervous about picket lines and so forth that they changed the lyric, referring back to the previous scene in which the story of the Mieskite is told by the Jewish character, which leads to this next scene. He's shunned when the world realizes he's Jewish and what's going on, and how the couple cannot be engaged because of what they would face together. And they had to change this. Now, Joel Grey was really annoyed by that. And every other night he would claim to forget the lyric and would do it the way it was originally written. Now, Cabaret's been open to tremendous interpretation. In 1996, Joe Masteroff was brought back in. They re-updated the book. They made it very clear what the sexuality and the perversity of the MC was. This was done in London, brought to the United States, done in a theater situation where the cast and the audience were very much involved with each other. Immersive theater being very much, a strategy in London theatrical productions. This was filmed with Alan Cumming.
Welcome, bienvenue, welcome. Fremder, étranger, stranger. Glücklich zu sehen, je suis enchanté. Happy to see you, bleibe, reste, stay. Welcome, bienvenue, welcome. Im cabaret, au cabaret, tout cabaret. Meine Damen und Herren, Mesdames et Messieurs, Ladies and Gentlemen. Guten Abend, bonsoir, good evening. Wie geht's? Comment ça va? Do you feel good? Yeah, I bet you do. Ich bin euer Konferencier, je suis votre compère. I am your host. Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome. Im cabaret, au cabaret, au cabaret. Leave your troubles outside. So, life is disappointing. Forget it. We have no troubles here. Here, life is beautiful. The girls are beautiful. Even the orchestra is beautiful. Because of her cheeks. See? Lulu. She's a tiger. Frenchie. She loves to polish. And Texas. You like Texas? Well, too bad. Because Texas likes girls. Rosie, Lolo, Frenchie, and Texas. Each and every one a virgin. You don't believe me? Don't take my word for it. Go ahead, try her. Outside it is winter, but in here it's so hot. Woo! Every night we have to battle with the girls to keep them from taking off all of their clothings. So don't go away. Who knows? Tonight we may lose the battle. We are here to serve you. Enchanté, madame. Hello. You like the rest to stay. Dear Zion, here come and bienvenue. Welcome. Fremder, étranger, stranger. Glücklich zu sehen, je suis enchanté. Happy to see you like the rest to stay.
Interestingly enough, the characterizations changed. Kander and Ebb worked with restructuring the music, adding lyrics in that were more appropriate to the tone that they wanted to share this time. Now, the next musical that they wrote was not a resounding success, and David Merrick got involved in producing this one. And it was going to star Robert Goulet and David Wayne, based upon a Richard Nash story about a father and son in Canada, the son being a photographer who's traveled the world. And it really got overblown because Gower Champion, who was going to be the director and the choreographer, had discovered IMAX. IMAX was introduced at Expo 67. And he thought using IMAX and photography as the backdrop for all of this would have tremendous impact on the storytelling. The problem was this very small, intimate story got overblown by the phenomenal staging that took place, and the whole thing just really became overwhelming to the story. Of note, the way this may be remembered is this was the first Broadway production to ever lose $1 million.
The current musical, The Happy Time, is a fascinating mixture of theater, music, and screen. It is a tender, funny story of a marvelous family. Starring Robert Goulet and David Wayne with Mike Rupert, The Happy Time.
You know, it's a very strange thing, huh? But the memory plays tricks. You see, every time I take a picture of this rose, it reminds me of something else. Something, another place, somebody long ago. Home, maybe, huh? But where is home? Perhaps home is only in my memory, the memory of a small town in French Canada, Saint-Pierre. Ah, what a pleasant place, what a happy time. Hey, come back with me, huh? Would you mind? Yes, come back with me. And remember a Christmas morning long ago. The frosted glass, the dancing snow, the happy time. Remember the painted horse, the carousel, the chocolate kiss, the caramel, the happy time. Remember a pale pink sky, your first Easter hat. And if you should ask me why, the reason I ask you this is that I want to remember you, remembering the happy time. Yes, come back with me, Remember the day you found the dollar bill, or roller skating down the hill, the happy time. Remember the compliment you once received, the lie you told, they all believed, the happy time. Remember a long, deep sigh, a tentative kiss. And if you should ask me why, the reason I ask you that is this: I want to remember you, remembering the happy time. Here he is, That's my father. He calls me his idiot boy. Why the idiot? What do you call a boy who runs away from home at the age of 16 to become a photographer, huh? An idiot. And this is my godson. This is my brother's boy. Yes. I taught him how to fly a kite, how to play poker at the age of 4. Important things like that, you know. And when you look at him, he's grown a foot since the last time I saw him. Baby, we must go home because Grand-Père is very angry. Someone has ruined the pictures of his naked ladies.
Look at my pictures, torn, dirty. What has happened to them? Look at this one. But what are all these little pinholes?
Oh, the boys at school were throwing darts at her.
Quel sacrilege. Someone had a very good aim.
Well, you're very lucky, Papa. You've got so many beautiful ladies. Not one of them gives you any trouble, huh?
Yes, you know why I have so many girls? Is because I do not have one. A long time ago, I had one girl, and I married her. Only one. And I did not need any of these. How many girls have you, Bibi?
Well, there's 2 or 3.
And you? How many girls have you?
I've got 1,000 of them, Papa.
1,000, 1,000 girls are not so many as one, as you will find out one day. A certain girl, some certain girl, he's bound to happen along, come along one wonderful day. You'll see her smile, a certain smile, and that will tickle you so, make you go around in the dopiest way. Though you were free and happy to be, she'll come along, swishing her skirt, walking a certain walk.
A certain walk, some certain girl, and from that moment on you're totally through. There's nothing you can possibly do but spend your lifetime wooing a certain girl. One wonderful day.
See her smile, certain smile,
and from that moment on you'll fly like a dove. There's nothing you're incapable of, because you're living, loving a certain. Because you're living, loving a servant. Because you're living, loving a servant.
Well, the Goodspeed Opera House took this in the early 2000s and did a revised script so that the second act didn't fall apart as badly as it had in the original, and the intimacy was restored, and the overblown photography and so forth was taken out, and it was even done locally here at Signature Theater about 10 years ago, where it was deemed to be an effervescent charmer. So, things sometimes in their original format just don't get recognized. However, Gower Champion won Tony Awards for his direction and for his choreography. So The Happy Time is probably most remembered for a variety of reasons. Again, maybe that it was the first musical to lose $1 million, and it was Robert Goulet's second performance on Broadway. As I listen to his accent, he sounds more like he was born in Italy than came from Canada, but, we'll accept it. He was actually, what made Robert Goulet was Camelot. Now, the next musical that Kander and Ebb choose to get involved with was based upon a bunch of performers and actresses who live in a retirement home who are going to make a comeback and return to Broadway. 70 Girls 70 did not do great either. It ran about a month. Probably a clever idea at the time, but it certainly did not do well for anybody involved. There's one song that's often performed from this show, and this is Mandy Patinkin in a rather hyperactive performance of it, but it's a great song.
Hey, give me a cup of coffee. Come on, lady, get me out of here. Will you get me out of here? You drive me crazy, lady. Come on. The trouble with the world today, it seems to me, is coffee in a cardboard cup. The trouble with the affluence
society is coffee in a cardboard cup. No one's ever casual or nonchalant. No one wastes a minute in a restaurant. No one wants a waitress passing pleasantries like, hiya, miss. Hiya, sir. May I take your order, please? The trouble with the world today, it's plain to see, is everything is a hurry up. It's ration through and don't be slow and a BLT on the right of going. Coffee! I think she said coffee. I know she said coffee in a cardboard cup. Get me out of! The trouble with the helter-skelter life, really, thank you, is coffee in a cardboard. God bless you! The trouble the psychologists have all agreed is coffee in a cardboard cup. Tell me what could possibly be drearier than seafood from the Bella cafeteria. Seems to me a gentleman would much prefer an afternoon. How you been? Would you like the special for the trouble with the world today? It's plain to see, it's everything is a hurry up. It's ready whipping instant tea and minute rice and Ohio meat. It's coffee. I think she said coffee. I know she said coffee in a cardboard cup. Hurry up.
By the way, Mandy Patinkin, as brilliant a performer as he is often reputed to be, is also one of the most difficult. He's extremely temperamental, very moody. You're either with him or you're not. And some of you who may have been to New York with me on an overnight trip heard my friend Peter Marinos, who performed with Mandy in two performances, one in Evita in the original production and another in The Secret Garden. I mean, Mandy's just not the easiest guy going. You can probably imagine. Well, we then get to Chicago. Wow. The musical that when it was originally written was perceived to be an absolute mediocre musical. No one really tuned in to how terrific it has. It had tremendously mixed reviews. No one understood the plot or what it was all about. And if you look at the record cover, you certainly see that that's a carryover from something that was created in Cabaret, further developed here. Chicago today is considered one of the greatest masterpieces of the American musical theater. The revival of it has been running for 23 years, while it had been running for 23 years. And it was really forgotten until after the O.J. Simpson trial in the mid-1990s. Chicago totally was eclipsed by a chorus line. The fact that Bob Fosse had gotten sick and, everything, people just didn't view it quite the same way. But it revived the musical movie genre, as a matter of fact, and is one of the greatest. This is from 1976. Cheetah Revere and Gwen Verdon going on every show you can to make it work. Now, this number, the finale, as Fosse staged it, Cheetah Rivera thought it was a slight to Gwen Verdon that she didn't get the number on her own. And Gwen Verdon was furious at Fosse, but Fosse knew what he was doing. And Kander and Ebb wrote this number specifically at the request of Gwen Verdon.
For another, it's the name of a sensational musical group that keeps turning out hit records. And for another, it's the name of a smash Broadway musical, still playing to capacity audiences after a year on Broadway. And you're about to see two reasons why they're packing them in at the 46th Street Theater. Here are Cheetah Rivera and Gwen Verdon. Welcome them, please.
It's good, isn't it grand? Isn't it great? Isn't it swell? Isn't it fun? Isn't it nowadays? You can light the life you're living. You can live the life you like. You can even marry Harry, but mess around with Ike, and that's good. Isn't it grand? Isn't it great? Isn't it swell? Isn't it fun? Isn't it? But nothing stays. know. But oh, it's heaven nowadays. And that's good, isn't it grand? Isn't it great? Isn't it swell? Isn't it fun? Isn't it? But nothing stays in 50 years or so. It's gonna change, you know. But oh, it's heaven nowadays.
Pick up the pace. Let's shake the blues away. Let's make the parties longer. Let's make the skirts shorter and shorter. Let's make the music hotter. And let's all go to hell in a fast car and keep it hot. Hey!
Gwen Verdon, Cheetah Rivera, Al Lindy. We'll be right back.
You never tire of what you're doing, right?
Anyway.
Or not.
Again, more.
The first musical to open in New York in the year 1975 was Chicago. Kander and Ebb's musical adaptation of the 1926 tale of Roxy Hart. Roxy and her friend Thelma form an act, and the combined performances of Cheetah Rivera and Gwen Verdon made one of the most memorable nights in the theater. Go, girl.
Come on, babe, why don't we paint the town? And all that jazz, I'm gonna rouge my knees and roll my stockings down. And all that jazz, start the car. I know a whoopee spot where the gin is cold but the piano's hot. It's just a noisy hall where there's a nightly brawl and all that jazz.
Oh, you're gonna see your shimmy shake.
And all that jazz.
And all that jazz.
It's good, isn't it? Isn't it great? Isn't it swell? nowadays. There's men everywhere, jazz everywhere, booze everywhere, life everywhere, joy everywhere. Nowadays, you can like the life you're living. You can live the life you like. You can even marry Harry, but mess around with Ike. And that's good, isn't it grand? Isn't it great? Isn't it swell? Isn't it fun? Isn't it? But nothing stays. In 50 years or so, it's gonna change, you know. But oh, it's heaven nowadays.
That's again Kander and Ebb's great contribution.
Tonight, we're going to bring...
This is from the Tonys in 1976. Jane Fonda, of course, introduced.
bring you some tantalizing parts from each of the musicals who've been selected as the best of the season. You've already seen the opening from a chorus line, and now another nominee, Chicago. Big and brassy, this is a biting and cynical musical version of a 1920s murder trial in Chicago, in the windy city of Chicago. So, ladies and gentlemen, may I present the silver-tongued prince of the courtroom, the one and only Billy Flynn.
Is everybody here? Is everybody ready? I don't care about expensive things, cashmere coats, diamond rings don't mean a thing. All I care about is love. That's what I'm here for. I don't care for wearing silk cravats, ruby studs, satin spats don't mean a thing. All I care about is love. Give me two eyes of blue, softly saying I need you. Let me see her standing there, and honest mister, I'm a millionaire. I don't care for any fine attire Vanderbilt might admire. No, no, not me. All I care about is love.
All he cares about is love.
Now, maybe you think I'm talking about physical love. Well, I'm not. Not just physical love. There's other kinds of love, like love of justice, love of legal procedure, love of lending a hand to someone who really needs you, love of your fellow man. Those kinds of love are what I'm talking about. And physical love ain't so bad either.
It may sound odd, but all I care about is love.
That's what he's here for.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-boo-boo-boo. Ba-ba-ba-ba-boo-boo-boo. Honest to God, all I care about is love.
Show me long, long raven hair flowing down about to there. When I see her running free, keep your money, that's enough for me. I don't care for driving Packard cars or smoking long buck cigars. No, no, not me. All I care about is doing the guy in who's picking on you, twisting the wrist that's turning the screw. All I care about is love.
Now, another great song that was written for Chicago, the characters were each given like a vaudeville number to do, and that's what this represented. It was called at the time a musical vaudeville. And one of the great character songs that Kander and Ebb wrote was for Amos, Roxy Hart's husband, who's been set up as a dupe through the entire production. First being told to take credit for the murder as self-defense, then trying to sell her things to raise money for her defense, and then setting it up that he actually was the father of a child that was created by somebody else that never really existed either, we suppose. But it's Mr. Cellophane. If someone stood up in a crowd and raised his voice up way up loud and waved his arms and scratched his head, you'd notice him. If someone in the movie show yelled fire in the second row, the whole place is a powder keg, you'd notice him. And even without clucking like a hen, everyone gets noticed now and then. Unless, of course, that personage should be invisible, inconsequential me. Cellophane, Mr. Cellophane, should have been my name, Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can look right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there. I tell ya, Cellophane, Mr. Cellophane, should have been my name, Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can see right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there. Now, suppose you was a little cat residing in a person's flat who fed you fish and scratched your ears. You notice him. Now suppose you was a woman wed, residing in a double bed beside a man for 7 years. You notice him. Are human beings made of more than air? With all that bulk, you're bound to see him there. Unless that human being next to you is unimpressive, undistinguished, you know who. should have been my name, Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can look right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there. I tell ya, Cellophane, Mr. Cellophane, should have been my name, Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can walk right by me, look right through me, and never know I'm there. Never even know I'm there. Hope I didn't take up too much of your time. Well, Kander and Ebb continue to do an awful lot more. The next musical they write is a musical actually for Liza Minnelli. It's called The Act, and it's the story of a woman going through issues trying to make a comeback in Las Vegas. It was Liza Minnelli, and she actually had to leave because she was having problems. But here
now,
it
in
is.
1965, Liza Minnelli won a Tony for Flora the Red Menace. In 1972, she won an Oscar for the movie Cabaret, which was, of course, 2 years earlier, a musical for the Broadway stage, which won a Tony. Now, just hold on. Now, in 1973, she had the nerve to win an Emmy for her performance in Liza with a Z. Now, this girl is very good if you dig talent. Now, tonight, she is a Tony nominee for her electrifying performance in The Act. Here's why.
Lady sat on the porch of the farmhouse. The little old lady rocked back and forth and crocheted. Oh, listen to the crickets. Look at the rooster. Smell the hay, I told her. And see the pretty little egg that the hen just laid. The little old lady took off her glasses and squinted. And how she responded literally had me floored. She said, it's nice to meet someone who appreciates the beauty that nature initiates. It's sweet to hear. But me, my dear, I'm truly bored. I miss those city lights, those sparkling city lights, those sparkling city lights, but blur in my eyes. I love those city lights, or the color of city sights that shine under city lights, tinting the skies. A new moon hay gives me a fever. There's the rooster, where's my cleaver? So laid back, my mind might crack. And when the pressure's up, my pressure's up, city lights. Oh, I long for the city lights, the bulbs of those beaming brights, beckoning me there, be there. Take your crickets and go Dee-dee-dee. Pow, wop-a-dee-dee. Rock, dee-dee-dee. Walk in the lanes to pick a daisy that could drive a person crazy. Homemade bread lays here like lead, and Polly's peach preserves. Oh, please, my nerves. City life.
Well, we've really had covered a lot of ground today, and I hope it's been fun and you've enjoyed. Some of us are good. There's a whole lot of comments here. I'm going to have to take a look at them very quickly to see what's there. There was an article about Hugh Jackman today. I'm just looking to see if there's anything I need to answer that's specific. Yeah, they did write Closer Than Ever. I'm going to look at this and see how much more of Kander and Ebb I can continue next week. And we'll go from there, and we'll see what we can do. I'm just looking to see if there's any questions I can answer. Anyway, it was great seeing everybody. If there's anything anybody wants to know, don't forget to send me an email. Tell your friends. Certainly they can enjoy the Friday mornings with you all, and you get to see them and have a cup of coffee. And I hope everybody's looking into how they're going to get their vaccination. Boy, that'll sure be great to see everybody in person again, won't it? And things look like they're going to keep moving along. So I want to thank y'all for being with me this morning, and I'll see you all next week, of course, and I'll send the email out for the clip for next week later on. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.